Once the sensation of being conquered emerges within you, what triggers it? Is it when another nation takes control of your own territory? Or do you feel conquered when an adversary seizes possession of your home and all your belongings? Perhaps the echo of defeat lingers when you find yourself imprisoned, hands and feet bound, or when someone unexpectedly robs you of the opportunity to pursue a romantic interest. Indeed, this experience tends to vary for each individual, concerning how circumstances evoke the perception of being overcome. Ancient followers of Stoic philosophy, with their wealth of knowledge, delved into the art of attaining unshakability. They maintain the conviction that external forces cannot truly subjugate a person unless that individual relinquishes their authority over their own faculties. The sole pathway through which external factors can exert influence upon us is when, by our own volition, we allow them entry. When we sense that something has defeated us, we are essentially defeating ourselves by succumbing to it. The journey towards unshakability does not require us to conquer the entire world, but rather to triumph over ourselves. The culmination of such triumph is durability. This video explores the threads of Stoic philosophy that weave the fabric of unshakability. How we assess external elements determines the extent of their influence upon us, not their inherent nature. If we ascribe great value to something, we run the risk of nurturing a longing for it. And if we indeed attain the object of our desire, we experience a sense of euphoria. Undoubtedly pleasurable, yet when circumstances prevent us from obtaining what we seek, our spirits wane. Thus, we place our emotional state at the mercy of circumstantial vicissitudes. Before we proceed, kindly ensure that you are subscribed to the channel. Join us and become a better person every day. Imagine yourself deeply attracted to someone in your workplace or educational institution. After summoning the courage to approach that person and successfully arranging a date, you are likely to be on cloud 9. However, if that person unexpectedly cancels the date at the last moment, you will feel disappointed and possibly upset. While situations involving cancellations, rejections, or being left in limbo are common in the realm of relationships, people's responses and reactions can vary significantly. Some simply move forward with their lives, while others may react with anger, resentment, or even seek retribution. If rejection manages to elicit a strong emotional response from us, one could infer that this event has indeed conquered our emotional states. This power to influence our emotional well-being and potentially shape our attitudes also applies to insults. At times, seemingly minor insults can fuel days of lingering resentment. It's as if the person who delivered the insult has effectively conquered the individual who received it. However, there are much deeper ways in which people can exert influence over us, beyond mere insults or rejections. An example of this is manipulation through blackmail. A commonly used tactic in blackmail involves the threat of damaging someone's reputation. Given that many individuals hold their reputation in high esteem, they might easily yield to the actions of the blackmailer. This was a common practice in the context of the Roman Empire. The effectiveness of these methods is directly related to how attached one is to their own body and how far they are willing to endure suffering. Historical records state that even in the most dire circumstances, there is always a choice to be made. By submitting to the actions of our torturer, we are, in fact, choosing to be conquered by them. However, if we refuse to yield, despite the severity of the torments, the torturer may inflict harm upon our bodies, but they cannot defeat us. In the Discourses of Epictetus, an extensive compilation of lectures by the historical philosopher of the 2nd century, he consistently emphasizes the unshakable nature of an individual's capacity for choice, alternatively interpreted as moral choice by some scholars. Irrespective of the specific circumstances, even in the most extreme situations, we retain the ability to control our actions or surrender to the conditions around us. Epictetus illustrates the potency of this ability by recounting his response to a hypothetical scenario in which a tyrant threatens him. If he were to say, "I will bind you in chains," my retort would be, "He is threatening my hands and feet." When he declares, "I will execute you," I would reply, "He is endangering my neck." If his statement shifts to, "I will throw you in prison," I would retort, "He is jeopardizing my entire vulnerable body." And even if he threatens exile, my response remains unchanged. In this passage, Epictetus highlights that, even in the face of the tyrant's attempt to wield power over him, he maintains his unshakability. Undoubtedly, the tyrant can imprison his legs, sever his head, or incarcerate him, but these are mere external elements that lie beyond his control and, according to Epictetus, hold no relevance for him. What truly matters are his own actions, and only we ourselves can determine them. If we aspire to attain unshakability, we must be willing to endure any hardship, relinquish all our possessions, including our most fundamental needs, endure confinement and mistreatment of our bodies, and even bid farewell to those we love. Every powerful attachment we possess, whether an unbreakable bond from which we hesitate to detach ourselves, or something we cannot bear and will not tolerate, has the capacity to unsettle and influence our choices. A notable illustration of unshakability emerges in the story of psychiatrist and philosopher Viktor Frankl, who endured 3 agonizing years of captivity in various Nazi concentration camps. In his work Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl recounts how Jewish prisoners were coerced into collaborating with prison guards by committing horrendous acts against their fellow inmates in exchange for food and better treatment. They did whatever was necessary to survive, even if it meant betraying or harming others. However, a distinct group refused to allow circumstances to dictate their values, continuing to display kindness and compassion. Thus, while the Nazis could subject these individuals to imprisonment, torture, hunger, and even extermination, they remained undefeated. Hence, the historical sage, as the story goes, remains undisturbed by adversities. This means that these adversities cannot affect them. What harmful element is present in torture and other challenges that we label as difficulties? It seems to me that this harm consists of the weakening, bending, and collapsing of the mind. However, none of this can occur with the wise. They remain upright under any burden. Nothing can subjugate them. No burden to be endured bothers them, for they do not complain about being struck by what can strike any person. They know their own strength. They understand that they were born to carry responsibilities. Undoubtedly, the ideal state of the sage in history is imposing and nearly unattainable. Similar to any profound aspiration, nurturing elevated unshakability over time demands persistent commitment. The ancient sages acknowledged this challenge but challenged themselves and others to seek improvement. However, maintaining unwavering rationality constantly can be a demanding task, as our rational faculties often struggle to fully contain our emotions. The ancient sages fully recognized that emotional responses frequently precede our capacity for intervention, sometimes even catching the sages themselves off guard for a brief moment. This insight led them to differentiate between passions and emotions. According to historical teachings, we exert control over our passions: affliction, fear, burning desire, and pleasure. Ideally, the historical sage is immune to passions. However, most of us do not attain such wisdom and occasionally experience passions. Even under the influence of our passions, we still retain the ability to choose, even if we find ourselves prostrate, dominated by emotion, and to some extent defeated. We continue to have the ability to determine our subsequent actions. Therefore, when the enemy stands at our doorstep, we require firepower to protect our capacity for choice. This firepower can be likened to our resilience, the ability to make wise decisions even in the face of overwhelming emotions. An exemplification of this concept can be found in the movie The Lord of the Rings, where Frodo undertakes an exceedingly arduous mission to carry a ring to Mordor and cast it into the fires of Mount Doom. The person carrying the ring becomes so consumed by it that they will do anything to avoid parting with it. Frodo indeed becomes attached to his precious, just like Gollum, who struggles not to part with his. Although Frodo succumbs to the allure of the ring, in the end, he manages to carry it for miles and miles, overcoming countless moments of temptation. Most other characters probably would have succumbed to the ring much earlier, as exemplified by Boromir. Once again, according to Stoic philosophy, there is only one aspect genuinely susceptible to conquest: our power of choice. Everything else lies outside our reach and is subject to the whims of fate. Our possessions, whether wealth, autonomy, or social position, can all dissipate. There are times when withdrawing and remaining silent is the best course of action. As Viktor Frankl so insightfully expressed, when faced with the impossibility of altering a circumstance, we are challenged to transform ourselves. That's all for today. Please make sure you are subscribed if you are not already. Join us and become a better person every day.